This is section R.5, the basics of equation solving, chapter R, the 5th section. Before we get started, I want to remind you that if you got any questions, I want you to write them there. You can write them anywhere you want, but I just want to point out that whenever you watch a video, there's always going to be something you come across that you're like, I want to know more about that, or he didn't really explain that as well as I would have liked. Because everyone has a different background, and everyone's like Algebra 2 and Algebra 1 teachers teach them different things, so questions always come up, so it's unavoidable. Let's just write them down and bring them to class. You can email me if you want to know sooner, or you can text a friend, but at the very least, we got to get them answered. Audio check. So I'm just going to be making sure that you guys are listening, and that's cool. So at some point during today, I'm going to drop some personal information, like, for example, the fact that my favorite bands of all time are U2 and Coldplay. You tell me what your favorite bands are, what your favorite artists are. U2 and Coldplay, there it is, write it down if you're listening. So the basics of equation solving are like this. Here are like the 4 different categories of things that you can do to an equation in order to solve it and figure out what x is equal to. You can use the addition principle to add the same number to both sides of an equation. Let me zoom that in better. And that's because if A equals B is true, then A plus C equals B plus C is true. You can always add the same number to both sides of an equation. You can always multiply all the terms on both sides by the same number. You can, if you have quadratic equations, you solve them for 0, factor them, and split them up into linear equations. It'll look like this. Once you factor them, A times B equals 0, then you can split them up into just A equals 0 or B equals 0. I'll show you what you mean in a second. The principle of square roots, you can always take the square root of both sides of an equation. You just got to remember that one equation turns into 2 different equations. And I'll show you what I mean. Check this out. First problem, 2x plus 3 equals 1 minus 6x minus 1. Look at all that subtraction. One of the big ways that students make mistakes is with subtraction, and I say if subtraction gives you trouble, just get rid of it. Like, just change the subtraction to the addition of the opposite. This is going to be 1 plus negative 6. Addition of the opposite. And then you've got no more subtraction to worry about. It becomes a lot easier. It's not a necessary step, but I find it's one that really eliminates lots of mistakes, especially if you are prone to having mistakes with subtraction. Just get rid of it. 1 plus, and now I'm going to distribute. Remember to distribute to both terms. You got negative 6x plus negative 6 times negative 1 is positive 6. I'm going to add something to both sides. I'm going to add the 6x here and here where the terms are like terms. So we get 8x plus 3 equals, what is 1 plus 6? That's 7. I'm going to subtract 3 from both sides, or add negative 3, and get 8x is equal to 7 plus negative 3 is 4. And so then I'm going to divide both sides by 8, or, divided by 8. You get x is equal to 1/2. That's the answer, folks. That's how we do it. I want you to do it the same way over here, number 2. And pause the video, and we've got the answer. Go on to number 3. Now here, what I notice about this equation is we've got a squared, and we've got an x term, and then a constant term. Let's solve it for 0. Let's get all the terms on one side, and then use a factor x. It's a quadratic trinomial. The a value is 1, so we don't have to use bottoms up, just regular factor x. And negative 3, negative 4. You have to ask yourself, what are the factor pairs of negative 4? What times what is negative 4? And these numbers are negative 4, positive 4 and negative 1. So which of these adds up to negative 3? It's that first one. 1 and negative 4. So we can factor it. We get x plus 1 and then x minus 4. Now, one mistake is that students sometimes just say, look, I found the answer, Mom. No, you didn't, because we have to figure out what x is equal to. So you can say, because this is the two factors multiply by each other to get 0, like a times b. Like this could all be the a and this could all be the b. A times b equals 0. Since we have that format, then we can just split them up. X plus 1 is equal to 0, because either x plus 1 could equal to 0 or x minus 4 could equal 0. And you might say, ooh, I'm done. No, you're not. You got to go all the way and solve for x. Figure out what x is equal. -1 and x is equal to +4. Either one of these could be true and the equation would hold. So therefore, you've got two answers. And whenever there are multiple answers in math, you've got to report them all. Yes. Let's solve this one. I notice here that there is a squared term. There's no b value. There's only an a value and a c value. So I'm just going to undo the order of operations. So I'm going to undo the subtraction with addition. Plus 6. So we get 3x squared equals 6. I'm going to undo the multiplication next, because we're going in reverse PEMDAS order. Or, as I like to say, SADMEP. Yeah, ask me about SADMEP. That'd be awesome. I would love to show you about SADMEP. And then I'm going to undo the squares. So we're going to take the square root of both sides. And we get x is equal to the positive square root of 2, or x is equal to the negative square root of 2. Two answers, report them both. So here I just want to remind you of the 3 mistakes. I want you to avoid subtraction mistakes. And if you have difficulty avoiding subtraction mistakes, then do what I did here and change subtraction to addition. If you forget to fully solve equations, if you stop here, then I want to encourage you to keep on going all the way till you get x is equal to some value. And if you forget when you're taking the square root of both sides, there's always going to be 2 answers. When you take the square root of both sides, 2 answers, 2 equations. Now check this out. We've got a formula here. Solve a formula P equals 2L plus 2W for L.